Video on the internet has transformed the world. It's turned everybody into better lifelong learners.
Today on the Business Video Playbook, Tobi Flowers, CEO of TraCorp, discusses the critical role of video in modern L&D. Learn how TraCorp's LMS integration with SproutVideo connects training to business results, streamlines content delivery, and supports audit-ready compliance.
Tobi Flowers, thank you for joining us today for the Business Video Playbook. How are things going?
Fantastic. How are you today?
I'm great. Who are you, Tobi, and where do you work, and what do you do? And also, what's the relationship between what your company does and SproutVideo? Do you mind giving a little background on that?
I am the president and CEO of TraCorp, and we are a full-service learning company. We work with organizations to build professional content and then also to deliver that online through our learning management platform. We've had a lot of pivots move towards utilizing video more and more when it comes to learning and development inside organizations. And so we have an integration in our learning management platform with SproutVideo to make sure that customers have everything that they need when they are looking for that video streaming in their learning and development ecosystem.
So why do you think L&D is important for organizations and for employees today?
Learning and development is important because it's a surefire way to make sure that people understand what they need to be doing and how they need to be doing it and why they need to be doing it. Is a great way to tie what are the actual goals and the need for the bottom line of the business, and then backtrack that with training to make sure people can then deliver on those goals.
Okay, so now let's talk about video's role in L&D and how you see it as being important or an important part of the mix.
So training is one of those things that everybody kind of loves it or hates it. Oh, that's the thing I don't want to do that I'm always just going to push off until the end of the week or wait until it's actually due. One way to make people want to take training is to make the form video. Some studies have shown that it's even 70 to 80% preferred over reading a document or a traditional e-learning.
What are you seeing that really resonates with learners in terms of duration, format, mixing video with other forms of content? Are there just a handful of tips or approaches that you have seen work today?
We always step really, really far back and we're making sure of what's the goal of the training? So if the goal is to make sure that someone's able to complete their day-to-day activities inside a piece of software that they use 10 times a day, well, we're probably going to pick an approach where we're building very short videos that just cover individual steps across all of the steps that they take, because we know that it'll be very likely that they're going to want to refer back to that video and rewatch it. Another great use of video is storytelling. How about you pull an executive in while they explain the importance of maybe it's a new rule or a new policy or it's a new campaign to change internal behavior. Storytelling is really a great medium to make sure that that impact hits the audience and they really understand the need as to why they should be making a behavioral change.
I'm curious how you and your organization, the process that you go through to create a course. I'm sure you have templates. I don't know if you shoot and record them live on the premises, but can you share just a quick high level of your kind of game plan, your approach to producing the content, really?
TraCorp prides itself to be a one-stop shop. So if you need us to come in and do the full video shoot, we will do that. But we also find that a lot of the organizations that we work with at the most sophisticated level, they might have an in-house video production stage already. At the start of the project, once we've got the outline, we figure out what it is that we're trying, what the learning objectives are, what the learners need to know. Then we move forward on our design. Eventually, every single course goes into storyboarding. And so in the case of video, that storyboard will be accompanied by a shot list where we're defining everything that is needed inside that video.
What are some of the challenges that organizations have when it comes to keeping content fresh, localized for maybe different audiences?
Especially as an organization gets larger, the learning and development teams can become very popular. Once everybody figures out that there's a dedicated learning and development team, now you've got all of these different divisions of operations coming to learning and development and saying, please help me. I have more training. I have a system rollout. The learning and development teams, they're also working with legal. So a lot of training is compliance based. Then also learning and development teams nowadays are engaging regularly with IT, because IT is the one that's coming in and having new software implementations. And a lot of the challenge can be, is the software fully put together or customized or ready for rollout? Or are learning and development teams kind of sitting and waiting for the software to be fully configured? It's also very common for learning and development teams to run really thin. It's a known in our industry that learning and development teams have to be highly efficient. And so one of the things that we're also doing when we're designing programs is we are starting at the beginning to say, are these training programs going to need to be localized? And if so, what are all of the languages that we have to translate the training program into? And so video can be a great way for us to go ahead and deliver some narration, deliver a story, but then the only thing that we have to localize sometimes is the captions. It really depends on, how high touch the video needs to be. If it's going out to executives, in that case, you might actually want to have somebody film it in every single language.
How do you keep track that someone did indeed complete a compliance training and it's documented in the records? Is there some kind of test or certification or audit process that you go through for compliance type training?
One of the main reasons customers hire us to be their learning management system is to cover them in the case of an audit. When they add all of the content into the learning management platform, that then gives them record keeping for all of those activities. Luckily, I don't personally know all that much about audits, because sometimes the customers say, we're currently being audited. We'll let you know if we need anything. And then we never hear from them again. So from our perspective, it seems like the LMS is giving them everything that they need to keep that record trail. And that's what's so nice about us integrating with Sprout the way that we do. LMS then gives all of those records, and that's baked right into the rest of their learning and development and compliance training records. And they don't have to go directly to SproutVideo for that. But they're still getting all of the benefits of using SproutVideo and then having all of that in one place.
What information does SproutVideo capture, or what kind of analytics are in place that you can refer to if you had to?
One of the things that our customers love about the integration with SproutVideo that really helped us as well is that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel on building out analytics on the videos. So when our customers are in that evaluation stage to see how a video training, for example, how it did and how it was received, they can go ahead and see how many people took the video. If we sent out 5 emails asking people to come watch the video, is that when we had those spikes in traffic? And did those communications work, or did they not work? Are we seeing users drop off at one place in the video? If so, why? Did we lose their attention? Is something wrong? Did we interrupt them with different communications at the same time while we were running this campaign, trying them, to get this first task done? And so the rich video analytics allow us to reflect on what we did well or where we have room for improvement. And it's just fantastic that that's all baked right in.
Well, if we then go from tracking and auditing compliance to, I think, the more exciting stuff, and that is, are students learning, and are they able to apply the learnings to their jobs? Are we filling in some of the skills gaps? And so what are some of the important analytics or metrics that your customers are going to be looking at to evaluate the performance of the training and its impact on learning?
There's another series of ways of figuring out that, and that is taking data from the LMS and the overall completions of everything. Was that aligned with the competencies? And then now, where do we get that other data? Maybe it's from a different operational system to say, did we lower the amount of injuries that we had, or did we increase the number of widgets that we were ever able to build?
Is this how L&D teams are evaluated? Like, are they held to certain KPIs?
Learning and development teams can be accountable for the performance of the employees based on the training programs that they have rolled out. They can only be one piece of that puzzle. So if we built a training on filling out the timesheet and the timesheet's really hard to fill out because of the software, or there's some other challenge, then just teaching somebody how to do it can't always move the mark. But I believe that the best learning and development is accountable and it's not just, checking a box of like, we need to say that we have training on this, so we're just going to build training and then we're never going to look at how it performed or if it did move anything.
Is that common? Check the box, like, hey, they took the class, I did my job, or is it a combination of checking the box and looking at performance?
It varies. And I think that all of us have to optimize for the best outcome that we can get. And so in some cases for compliance, we might accept that here we're just trying to check the box. That's why we're always looking at the biggest picture and what is the highest impact? What's the highest opportunity? What program would have the absolute best impact? Let's invest our resources there. And then let's figure out how to, check all of the other boxes.
So we're talking about the reality of learning and development teams. They're lean, mean, not a lot of resources, probably lots of requests and demands. So what are some ways that maybe a startup or a small enterprise can really embrace learning and development, get started with it? Are there any tips you might offer to help someone get started?
I think that it's really important to spend as much of your budget as possible on content and on creating appropriate learning programs and making sure that you're spending your budget on the training itself. The platform can't train the employees. It needs to be the content inside. And so when you choose TraCorp as your learning management partner, then you have somebody who can also come in and do that learning needs analysis. And we can take a look at the organizational goals. We can say, here is what will provide you the biggest return on investment with your learning and development budget. That is what I believe that startups should be doing, is be really, really cautious of just spending a bunch of money on a platform. In some cases, people are choosing platforms that have content built in. Well, if the content isn't exactly what your learners need, it might still miss the mark.
In the industry in general, are there two approaches to customized content versus off-the-shelf kind of industry standard? Is that kind of how it works?
Definitely when it comes to kind of like soft skills and core competencies, it's very popular for organizations to just bring in a content library. And we've seen that with the rise of like LinkedIn Learning. The content libraries, I find, are harder to show a return on investment as far as like, did this move an exact need within the organization? Did this make us more profitable? Really, it feels like the content libraries are just a low-cost way to check the box to say we're providing this content to the learners.
So when we think about multi-location franchises or multi-location businesses, are there special needs that you have to take into consideration when designing training programs for them?
Video can definitely help with multi-location and franchises, especially because a lot of times their profitability and their ability to keep their customers is all based on brand standards. Starbucks is known for their drinks being exactly on brand and the same at every single location. And so I would bet that there was a lot of video training that went into place to teach people how to do it exactly, consistently the same across all of the locations. And so videos can be used, one, just to communicate things about brand standards and making sure that everything is consistent across all the locations. But video also can just be used for communications. We've figured out that we're all willing to watch our favorite YouTubers' weekly YouTube video, but I don't think that we subscribe and read very many people's blogs anymore. If there's an organization initiative that you need to make sure that everybody has heard about and everybody is aware of, have somebody create a video and deliver that information via video. Same thing with TraCorp LMS. You can still drop that into a communication. The communication can just be a video. You assign that to all your learners, and then that information goes out to everybody.
Over time, processes change, tools used, software changes. So what's your approach to keeping content fresh and up to date? When the world changes, the speed of business is reality and things change frequently.
What we're thinking about is how stable the content is. Is the software going to change all the time, or is the software going to stay the same? And if something is going to change a lot, sometimes we do pivot to trying to build just text-based instruction, because that's quick and easy to change. And if there are decision trees or decision making that needs to go along that is more appropriate for video, because at a high level, we can talk about how to make those decisions. Let's make that strategic choice to say, if this content's going to change a lot, let's spend money on video somewhere else that's really high touch, high value, can actually move the mark to make the business more profitable or safer or whatever the goal is.
I'm curious, what do you think makes for a really good L&D program?
My preference is that learning and development programs are well received by the audience. There's something that is assigned to a group of people that actually want to learn it, and that it is tied to an organization outcome. I think that it is easy to let the learning and development function just be there, even just the function to check a box to say, yes, we provide our employees training. But what I really like to see is that the learning and development function is there to accomplish business goals.
Do you have any insights or a take on the importance of L&D to employees?
With YouTube and the way that you can watch somebody adventure clear across the world, or learn how to accomplish a do-it-yourself project in an afternoon, I think, and I actually kind of hope, that it's turned everybody into better lifelong learners, that we all just crave to learn. We believe that we can learn no matter what if we're willing to. Video on the internet has transformed the world. And so I think it's important for organizations to embrace that and to put together a culture of learning and make sure that they're assisting their employees with that learning journey, because I believe that most of us do want to learn and we want to progress. And so we just want to foster that.
Yeah, and having easy access to it is really empowering because, like you said, that ownership and self-reliance and DIY attitude that makes it really cool. So I like that example. Tobi Flowers from TraCorp, thank you so much for joining us on the Business Video Playbook. Learned a ton of things to share with our audience. Just wanted to thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yay! Oh, and I always do this. And